It's Abby Glassenberg from Craft Industry Alliance. I hope you are having a fantastic day today. We come to you live every Wednesday around this time to do a member spotlight where we drop in on one of our members to learn more about their business and their creative journey. And I'm very excited today that Rosann Fleischauer from Byte Designs will be here to talk with us in a minute. And I also just wanted to let everyone know that we have an exciting series of events coming up next week, which are our regional Zoom meetups. So what are these? These are opportunities for our members who live all over the world to connect with fellow members who live near them online. So it's a great way to meet new friends, learn about cool places in your area that you might not have known about for shopping, for finding supplies, for running your business, and just basically making some new connections. So if you are a member, make sure you sign up for your regional Zoom meetup. They're all next week at various dates and times. And if you're not a member yet, but would like to attend something like that, come join us. All right, I see that Rosann is here, so I'm gonna let her in, and I'm very excited to chat with her about her creative journey and about her business. Hi, how are you, Rosann?
I'm well, thank you. How are you today, Abby?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm very excited to talk with you. I see your face at our craft business roundtable meetups, which is always lovely. And I'm excited to learn more about your business and your journey because you really switched careers between more kind of corporate business kind of career into the fiber industry. And I think there's lots of people out there for whom that sounds like such an enticing idea. So can you tell us a little bit about what you used to do first?
Sure. What I used to do was I was in management consulting, and I helped large financial institutions, those which were designated as financially significant institutions, with their compliance and with their plans to maintain their business in the event of a disaster. So basically, I spent a lot of time planning for the end of the world. And, and I did it for a number of years. I have a degree from RPI and I have a degree from Babson. So I've always had a background in business and mathematics. For me, it was very interesting to help people solve their problems and figure out ways to address potential issues before they even arose. So it was exciting in its own way. And as part of the relaxation process for myself, aside from running, I would also knit at night. And for me, it was just a nice, quiet thing to do at the end of a long day. If I was on the road, it was easy to do. And then I started to learn how to crochet. And I realized about 6 years ago that my designs were starting to be picked up by magazines. And with that, I decided, well, maybe it's time to try and apply some of what I've learned in the financial world to smaller businesses and to help them grow and develop using some of the same skills and tools, but to refocus the industry that I was working on.
Right, so neat. So when you did make that shift, well, first tell us like the plan that you had for leaving. Did you just up and leave one day, or did you kind of have a longer term step by step to sort of phase out of what you were doing and into doing this?
I always worked on a contractual basis, so I always knew what my end dates were going to be, and I always was very meticulous in my expectation setting with potential clients. If in fact I knew I had something else I had to do, I helped them find a replacement for me if they needed to continue the process. And if they elected to renew my services, I needed to know a certain number of months ahead so I would be able to plan accordingly for somebody else. I didn't like to leave people in the lurch. And for me, at that point in my life, when the financial services industry started to become more heavily regulated, my work was in demand. And I felt as if now was a good time to step into something different, to find a way to help others, to show somebody else how I was working with these banks and how I was helping them with their financial modeling and their risk management. So after I finished that, I realized, this contract ends in 6 months, and when this one's over, it's it.
Right. Okay. Right. So
So
that was a good way to be able to gracefully wrap things up there. And
exactly.
when you talked a little bit about transferring some of the skills that you had from that sort of portion of your professional life into the fiber industry, what are some of the things that you began to notice with fiber-based businesses where there were some needs for your sort of skill set?
I think that the biggest realization that became apparent to me was there are a lot of passionate people out there who have very good ideas of what they would like to do, but their execution capabilities may not be sufficient to realize those dreams. And I think that working as a consultant and listening very carefully to what my clients want, whether it's a yarn store or whether it's one of the magazines with whom I work or one of the yarn companies, to understand what they need and how to help them accomplish the goals that they are setting for themselves. I think that the skill set of being a good listener is one that transferred very easily. Planning and resource allocation. Think of it, a small business has a very limited number of resources as opposed to an international bank. So one has to truly hone in on what's important and then concentrate on those things first that are attainable and measurable, so I can deliver measurable results. And just to help small businesses think in those terms, I think is the most important value add that I can offer them. Because
Right.
if someone stops and kind of tilts their head, and maybe tilts their head the other way, and you can really see them starting to think about something, it's, I don't want to say it's validation, but it is an acknowledgement that they've reached out and they're seeing the point of why we're having the conversation. And they'll usually start with, well, no one's ever asked me that before. And I think that that's the place that we all need to get to in the fiber industry and in the crafting industry, is to be able to say, no one ever thought of that, or, oh, I never really thought about it that way. Sure, someone may have a great concept, but they probably understand at some level that they need customers. Well, how do you get those customers, and where do you go, and how to pursue the path of success?
So are a lot of your clients now, are they yarn stores or are they designers or publications, or who is working with you? And is it like a one-time consultancy, or are you working with them on an ongoing basis, or who are you working with now?
Some of them are on an ongoing basis. Some of them are contractual, sort of deadline-driven magazines and publications. Some are actual yarn companies that are manufacturing, particularly those that are having difficulty breaking into the US market. I'm very careful about the companies that I work with so that they do have some semblance of an ecologically sound business plan, that they have some commitment to the sustainability of their product offering. So the companies with whom I am actively working are those that are, I don't want to say socially, I guess they are socially aware. Some of them I do have NDAs with, so I can't disclose who all of them are. If you look at the designs that I post on my website, it's relatively easy to figure out who the companies are that I work with closely with. The yarn stores with whom I work are, for the most part, yarn stores that may have a particular issue they're trying to solve, whether it's moving a particular yarn from their inventory, or if they want to attract a certain kind of customer that they're not quite reaching yet, then they may hire me to assist them in that process as well.
Got it. And then you're also, as you mentioned, a designer, and
Mhm.
you do have a lot of designs on Ravelry and on your website. And so, can you talk a little bit about the design side of what you do?
Sure. The design side is driven by a couple of factors. The first one is an effort to solve a particular problem. There are yarns that are available commercially, and some of the stores with whom I work may have a certain selection of yarns that they've had sitting on the shelf for a while. So they want to repurpose and find a new client that may want to buy them. There was uh, there was one client who had a lot of baby yarn left over, so people weren't making baby blankets before the pandemic. So we decided, well, you're at the beach. Why don't we design a beach cover up? And it moved the yarn out of the store. You know, when you think about how you can take a particular fabric and you can modify it and make it into something else for a different market, as you open up that market, you can sell more product. So we figured out how much yarn she had, what her price point was, and then designed something around it. As it turned out, this particular prototype is done in crochet because crochet takes more yarn, so it's more her the point at which someone makes their purchase is a higher price point, and you use about 1/3 more yarn when you're doing a crochet project versus a knitting project. So for her, that was very attractive. And she knew how to crochet. Well, she also decided she was going to offer crochet classes. So we found her an instructor, and that opened up another revenue stream for her in a store that everyone had traditionally just considered to be a knitting shop. Because the name has knitting in the name of the shop, to be able to say, well, and we crochet. You don't want it to feel like an afterthought. But if you have something crocheted that's in the window and you say, we have this class and we have these are the kits, and come on in, you know, if you can open up and welcome a different group of people in, it can help.
Yeah. And
So
I love the fact that you are designing really with that business problem solving mindset, because oftentimes, and I'm a designer myself, but of sewing patterns, we just want to make what we want to make. You know, we feel inspired by the materials or by, you know, a color or an image, and then we just want to make that because it pleases us. And there's certainly a space for that. I think that, you know, passion is really important. But this is talking about design in a very different way, which is to say you might have inventory that's been sitting on shelves for months, and it's important for your business that that inventory sell. So how can we solve that problem through design?
exactly. And in some cases, it may be a particular magazine that is trying to attract a different buyer of their magazine. Um, I had done a hat design for a shop, and I sent that. So, can you make us a cowl? And the cowl was an easy adaptation, and there's a cowl.
Love that.
So there are ways that as you work through and work with the materials to be able to say, well, what can we do with this material and how could we reimagine it in a different light? Now, the nice thing about that cowl, thank you, by the way, is that it uses a yarn that the publisher of that magazine wanted to make sure was highlighted in that issue because the advertiser had a big ad. Again, it's the business side of how do we solve for the solution that's needed. We wanted to make sure that we could sell at a price point that someone would be able to say, oh, I can make that and still pay my mortgage. And then to be able to say, okay, well, we want to be able to use one of the yarns that's being advertised that month or that quarter, whatever the cycle may be.
Yeah.
So by backing into a good idea, using the various parameters that are presented, it can make a huge difference. And you're right, you do want to make something because you find a beautiful fabric or you find a beautiful yarn. And sometimes you just have to wait. It just that particular thing that you're so passionate about, you make it and you make notes about it, and then it sits in the closet until the moment is right for it. So
Yeah, that's
I think
100% true.
mhm.
So if people watching today, and thank you for everyone who's watching, want to begin working with you, maybe they're hearing this and thinking, oh gosh, I could so use some, expert advice, another set of eyes, some strategy around what I'm doing. How can they begin that process?
Probably the easiest thing to do would be to go to my website, which is firstbytedesigns.com, and submit a comment on the comments page. I just redid the page working with a business that I was very excited to learn about out in Colorado. So the site just went live this past week, which was
Congratulations.
thank you. So it was a lot of fun to work on. So there's a contact page there that I know works. And I'm also on Ravelry. I don't use Ravelry actively as much as I used to, but I'm on Ravelry as Max's mom.
Okay.
So I'm reachable either way. Those are probably the easiest two ways to find me. And then on Instagram, since everyone is listening on Instagram, I'm First Byte Designs, and it's instead of the word first, it's the number 1 and then ST, Byte Designs.
Wonderful. That's great, Rosann. This is really helpful, and you're just such a good resource to know about. So I can refer people who come to me with these sorts of challenges to you for some expertise to get over the hump and really start to scale and grow. And I think that that's so incredibly valuable. So thank you for all you do. Yeah, and we love having you as a member of Craft Industry Alliance too. Your insights are super valuable. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's nice to have a forum to work with other professionals. I appreciate it a lot and all the work that you do.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming, everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye.